Hello and thank you for joining in. This is lesson 7, the final lesson in our like and subscribe project. What we need to do now is convert this Motion project file into a Final Cut Pro title template. And then we will add one last improvement to make this template run by default in other aspect ratios. So this is a 4K template, but we want this to be able to run by default in, for example, a square or vertical project, so that the end user in Final Cut Pro has lots of versatility and does not need special workflows and workarounds in order to use this template in other projects. Okay, so here is our finished animation. Just a couple of things to tidy up before we move on. Come to the scale control and make sure the publish OSC function is checked on. Now, if I turn my guides on, we can see the ring here. I did a function check on this. We do want this to be a bit higher, so go back to the position control, update that value to 350, note the new filter value, come to the Y position link, and update the value there. Alright, and from here in the template we have some assets that we don't really need. Now this background group, it's only really there to give a nicer visual aesthetic to the project as we build the graphic. If you want to keep it, you could publish the color and the opacity and have it in there. Otherwise, delete it or just turn it off. But for now, it is serving a purpose, and that is to create a thumbnail for the title in Final Cut Pro. Okay, to show you what I mean, I'll get rid of these markers that I used before. Then I'll add one more, edit that, and choose Poster Frame. Now with this marker, wherever I set this, that is what Final Cut Pro will display as the thumbnail. So I think I'll have it right here. So even though I don't need this background layer, I'm going to leave it on to create a nicer thumbnail. And then I'll come back to it and get rid of it. Okay, now let's convert this and save it as a Final Cut Pro template. Go to your menu, to File, choose Convert Project to, and choose Title. Okay, you'll be prompted to select a media placeholder. Don't choose drop zone. That's going to take our profile drop zone and convert that to a title background. We want our drop zone left alone. So either choose none or choose new placeholder. I'll choose new. And that will populate this title background media wrapper in the template now. I'll just name it. Now I'm just going to use Command Save, and then you'll be prompted to choose a name, the category, and you can make a theme for it if you want. I have a theme ready to go. Then use your Publish function, and we're ready to jump into Final Cut Pro and see how it runs. Okay, here's our template. You can see how the thumbnail has been created with the poster marker. So first of all, I'm going to open the project in Motion and turn off that layer. Then I'll save and exit and go back to Final Cut. Okay, let's take this for a run. So I took out the background layer. Now we have a clear project background in Final Cut Pro. Alright, let's review the utility that we built in. So I want my channel name to be bigger than default. And I want a larger profile than default as well. The profile moves the text over automatically. I can freely adjust the length to anything I want to make room for this. I can adjust the text directly on screen. And when I use the resets in Final Cut Pro, the layout is restored. No frustrating position jumps for the user. And our cursor animation updates according to all of the user preferences. Turning off the profile updates the animations correctly as well. So everything is working well. But let's have a look at how the template runs in other project sizes. I have a square project here. So some editors will be cool with this, others might find it a bit cramped and prefer a smaller layout than this by default. Now let's have a look at a vertical project. So now we can see that we are still lacking in utility for the user. Even though we have on-screen controls, this template should be ready to run by default in this vertical project. Let's go back to our title template and update this to run properly in square and vertical projects. I'll open the title in Motion, come to the main project, and then here, next to the published parameters, we have the snapshot manager. We use this tool to add alternative aspect ratio states within a single motion template. You can use the custom option for anything you need. And we have these presets ready to use. Add a square and a vertical snapshot. I'll close up these groups and I will add one more group under controls and call this the snap group. Drag the like and subscribe group in there. Now come back to the snapshot manager and click to the vertical state. Click here to start recording. I'll take the snap group and drop the scale to fit everything in better, and stop recording. Click to the square state. It fits well enough. If we come to the snap group, you'll see that scale parameter is active here. We don't need to record again. Once it's on, it's on. Use the menu if you want to remove it. See here, the widget. That is the internal rig. Clicking back to the vertical, you see our changes are preserved. And you can remove it from here if you want. Let's go back to the square and drop that default size too. Then back to default. I'm going to use Shift-Command-S to save a new version. And in Final Cut Pro, let's see how it runs in the vertical project. Okay, so you see Final Cut is running the snapshot that we added, and the same for the square. Alright, so let's go and look at another snapshot option we have for this template. I'll go back to default and I'll leave version 2 alone. I'm going to open and start again with version 1. So this time we're going to look at lower third layouts with snapshots. And this is actually why we have this layout group as the master group, and that's why our on-screen controls are actually grouped to sit in there. So you see if I move this group, the graphics and the controls move together. Okay, let's go and add a square and a vertical state. Okay, we're thinking about the lower third area here. The need for this layout is debatable. With on-screen controls just thinking about the default position, the end user can place a graphic anywhere they want. The demand for exact lower third default layouts is very subjective. It depends on who you're working for and who you're working with. But if your client asks for this, and if it's in the scope of a project, then with Motion we can do it easily. Let's go to the vertical state. I'm going to add a snap group in here and add the main graphic group to that. Now I'll record the layout. Set scale on the snap group to 65. Then I'm going to move the layout group down into the lower third area. And stop recording. Okay, let's go to the square snap. All we have to do is update the scale and the layout to fit. And now we can do that for the default 4K as well. Alright, I will save and publish this as version 3. And let's have a look at how these run. So you see the graphic is at the lower third by default, and our controls are right there for convenience. Let's have a look at the square project. All good here. Now the vertical project. All good here too. What we can do with aspect ratio snapshots for title graphics, like I've shown you here, is just the beginning, and I have many lessons on other applications for this coming up over the next year as well. There are links in the description to another tutorial from Robin S. Kurz that covers this topic very well, and I put links in there to the relevant information in the Apple Motion User Guide. For those motion content creators that are watching this, and I know that you're watching because I always see my content turn up in your content for some reason. Why is that? Anyway, the next time you do a lower third tutorial, take the time to teach the full picture with a motion template. You don't need special workarounds in Final Cut Pro to use a motion template in different project sizes. So let's take the time to teach motion properly. Okay, that is it for the Like and Subscribe project series. There was a lot to cover, a lot to learn. If you have any trouble with anything at any time, you're welcome to reach out and get in touch. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can with the help that you need. Thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.